Good evening, baseball fans. It is a Thursday, December 12th. I'm Suzy. That is Kelsey. This is Bourbon and Baseball, all the balls edition. And I know longing does make the heart grow fonder. And you just saw us. And so we just wanted to keep that flame going. So you just get all the content. Free content, by the way, free content. Like, subscribe, tell all your friends. Please and thank you. Kels, in the, I don't know, 2 days that I haven't spoken to you, how have you been? Run into any more MLB stars?
I haven't, but it is a festive time of year. Things are going well over here. I can't complain. I think this is happening in most parts of the country right now, but one day it's 60 degrees, the next day it's 30 degrees. It's a little wacky over here, but that's helping me ride the wave of all of the rumors that we are hearing from trades to free agent signings and a little bit of action. The stove has stayed a little warm, still putting off a little heat for us. So we do have a number of things to catch up on since we last spoke just a few days ago.
I know. So, I think literally after we hit end record, no, it wasn't literally. It was the day after. I was going to say GarrettCrochet signed, but then I was all, no,
Nice.
JK. It was the day after. So, GarrettCrochet moves from one sock to the other, moves from white to red, and to, I don't know, band aid the sting of not getting JuanSoto, they said, GarrettCrochet, come on over.
They
Now, if
have
you're a
not
Red Sox fans, though, are you happy about that?
Yeah. They have not announced any kind of they haven't extended him or anything yet. That will we I think there's a lot of presumption around that. That will be in the works. That'll be something smart for them to do. So we'll see. And obviously I think Crochet would definitely be interested in that. But yeah, we'll see if a red sock fits Garrett Crochet better than a white sock. But the White Sox, as you were just pointing out right before we started recording, got a good haul. They are really committed to it seems now this cultural rebuild, this fundamental overhaul because
Mhm.
that's one of the top prospects in the Red Sox system and the Red Sox have the best or if not one of the farm systems. They got KyleTeel, catcher of the future there, I would say for the White Sox. They
Yep.
have outfielder Braden Montgomery, infielder Chase Meadruth, and
My
right-hander
draft.
Meidroth and
Mhm.
right-hander Wilkeman Gonzalez. What was your initial take on this trade, Susie?
A little, let's be really honest, neither one of these teams really interests me, and I was like, "Cool, love that for both sides." I feel like the Red Sox feel like they, quote, unquote, "won" because they didn't have to give up either of their top 2 prospects that they really wanted to hold on to, Roman Anthony and Christian something, and I can't remember his name. There was like a top 4 and KyleTeel was part of that big 4 that was untouchable, so it hurts a little bit, but not super badly, and the fact that the White Sox are cooking. They have got now, I wanna say 6, I think, top 10 prospects, and the White Sox farm system is looking pretty good. So, while next year might not be it, I'd say, I don't know, like 2028 maybe? White Sox will be a force. And I know White Sox fans are like, "Thanks, Susie." So basically, we're gonna suck for a couple more years, maybe. I don't know, but like,
I
there's a light. There's a light at the end of
Yeah,
the
I would
tunnel.
think at this point after this past season, White Sox fans are gonna take strides ahead for the next couple of seasons is a very positive thing. And yeah, it does seem like they are headed in that direction. Do we think the Red Sox can't be done, right? This is a good move in terms of not having to spend money to acquire one of the most promising starting pitchers in the game. But what else do Red Sox fans want to see right now?
I feel like Red Sox fans feel like they need another frontline starting pitcher.
Yeah.
Yes, GarrettCrochet is there, but I feel they would be a little bit more comfortable if there was another veteran guy. I mean, Lucas Giolito is still there, but he's coming off of Tommy John. What kind of production are we gonna get out of him? And is Trevor Story gonna be your shortstop the entire season? Half a season? What are we doing over there? And the rumors that Tristan Casas may or may not be traded. Is AlexBregman gonna go over there? Who knows? Who knows? But I feel like Red Sox fans at this point have just been jerked around so much that they're like, "You know what? We're not going to believe anything until we actually see it."
Totally. Yeah, you we can't take a word for it because we're all still replaying that full throttle promise in our head from last offseason. Was that last offseason or was it the trade deadline? It was last
I feel
offseason,
like it
right?
was last offseason, yeah, or
Yeah,
maybe it
yeah. I can't even
was it or was
remember.
it 2 off seasons ago?
No, it was definitely, like, a year ago at most, but
Okay.
clearly very off base from what we ended up seeing from the Red Sox. Yeah, they're in a position to do a certain amount of damage with trades without spending money. So it'll just be interesting to see if they do open the pocketbook at all to I don't know, there's just I'm so bitter because the Cardinals game is obviously to just like not spend any money and it has been forever and it's just there was a point 10, 20 years ago where they were doing it in a way that was smart and resourceful and now it's just gotten to the point where I've tried to appreciate it, but it's just getting stingy and ridiculous. And I think Red Sox fans are like fearing and seeing a little bit of that
Mhm,
with the Red Sox too. But I don't think it will be a permanent thing. I don't think it's like a franchise defining thing,
mhm.
but it's very unclear as to, yeah, when or how they're going to go actually full throttle.
Yeah, I don't know Red Sox, and the fact that they were in the sweepstakes to get JuanSoto, and they were a big player in that. They, offered JuanSoto $700 million for 15 years. So the fact that they were willing to spend that much, not saying that you have to spend $700 million on your roster, but if you were willing to do that, you you gotta be comfortable doing other things, right? That's hop in the comments and let us know. Tell us.
I
Tell us how
mean,
you feel.
let's not to spend too much time talking about Juan Soto because obviously we talked a lot about that contract in our last episode, and go back and listen to that if you haven't heard it yet. But what we didn't talk about was exactly what you just posed. If you are an owner of a team, are you more apt to spend on a superstar, spend that giant lump sum of money on a superstar for a long period of time, or are you more excited about allocating that same amount of funds
Right.
to different players over probably a shorter amount of time, obviously, but increasing putting more of a strong but smaller window together?
If you are the Houston Astros, apparently you are going for the latter. I'm a little bitter about that, and it's still real tender over in these parts. I didn't give the radar warning though, Kels. And before
Oh,
we get into this,
before we get into this territory, yeah.
we're definitely gonna need the rated R warning, and there will be cuss words. There hasn't been any cuss words up until now because there hadn't needed to be any. But since we're going to start talking about the Houston Astros here shortly, there will be all of the cuss words spoken. If that is not your jam, head on out, go find another podcast to listen to that maybe doesn't drop as many F bombs. I'm sorry, that's not this podcast, unfortunately. With that said, we'll roll into that answer for you, Kels. Apparently, there are only a handful of teams willing to spend the big money on the big superstars. And my favorite team, the Houston Astros, not willing to spend the money on my favorite player ever, Kyle Tucker. That's apparently not the thing that they're going to do because after seeing Juan Soto get $765 bajillion, Kyle Tucker, I think maybe did a backflip.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, but I'm imagining he did because for I don't know, a season and a half at least, we've been saying that it's going to take at least 10 years and $300 million to sign Kyle Tucker. That number skyrocketed, and it has skyrocketed even farther than what we recorded. Tom and I recorded an episode last night about or 2 nights ago about the Astros and how now it's looking like a $400 million contract. It has jumped from even that. People are now saying 450, $500 million for Kyle Tucker. And at no point in time is Jim Crane willing to spend $500 million on one player. Even if that player is Kyle Tucker and we drafted Kyle Tucker and I watched Kyle Tucker grow up from a gawky ass motherfucker to the man that he is today, our King Tuck.
Okay,
Not willing.
but if
Not willing.
if the Astros were to say so is he's free agent 2026, right?
He is a free agent in
Or is it
2026. Yes.
yeah, so
Yes.
he has 1 year. So if he does get traded, he is looked at as potentially a rental. But what you're saying is, yeah, if he gets traded, it's way more likely that the Astros are simply saying there's no way that we were going to pay him in free agency anyway. So we might as well move on from him now and figure some things out. If they were not going to spend $500 million on KyleTucker over 10 years, but they were going to spend on multiple players over the course of the next 5 years. Would you prefer that, or do you still think
The
the
baseball fan in me says, "Abso-fucking-lutely not. I need Kyle Tucker, my favorite player, on my favorite baseball team." That's the baseball fan in me.
yeah,
The baseball knower, the smart baseball knower, Suzy, says, what are we doing here, Suzy? Come on now. The haul that we can get back for Kyle Tucker will help replenish our farm system." It literally hurts to say these things, FYI.
I know, I'm
And
trying to pull it out.
and it will help the team as it is now. The quote unquote supposed trade to the Chicago Cubs is the Chicago Cubs seem to be the leader in the trade talks. The trade looks like to be IsaacParedes and SeiyaSuzuki. IsaacParedes, the Astros were in heavy talks with last trade deadline. Literally all his home runs go into the Crawford boxes. That's where he would hit all of his home runs in that short porch, the Crawford boxes, and it looks good. Comparatively, SeiyaSuzuki to Chas McCormick, my center fielder, not the Astros center fielder, but my center fielder, his 2023 season, which was his highest season, he had a OPS plus of 130. SeiyaSuzuki's regular year, I think his OPS plus was like 125. The fact that we could add a left-handed bat in the outfield and essentially we can't recreate Kyle Tucker in the aggregate, but that's what we're
Sure.
trying to do here. Trying to get the 5 WAR that Kyle Tucker would get,
Mhm.
and these two players combined, I think I saw somewhere that would get be like 6.2, 6.3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then something to replenish our farm system, it would help, but it just hurts. It hurts so fucking bad. Like,
We both lose our favorite player from our favorite team in the same year. That would be, so brutal. And I'm sorry if Kyle Tucker's on the Cubs, like, you cannot wish for any success for him. I will not allow it. So, yeah, I did hear that Seiya Suzuki has a full no trade clause, so
mhm,
that's, been a an issue that has been approached with him, but will be interesting to see how he feels about it. It
yeah.
seems like Chicago was using him primarily
It's
at DH, right? So
But
and I
he
mean
wasn't happy about it though. He
right,
wants to
right.
play outfield. However, he's not a great outfielder.
Yeah,
Not a great outfielder. And I'm just saying, say we got a short left porch. You don't have much room to cover in that left field. We can just throw you over there. Chas McCormick can help. That's all I'm saying. You could be the everyday outfield. You and Jordan. Switch off.
there you
DHs.
go.
That's all I'm saying, Saya.
I also really like Seiya Suzuki, so it'd be easier for me to like him if he comes over to the Astros instead of the Cubs. Is it easier to part with Kyle Tucker now than it is to see them not be the highest bidder for him or maybe not even try for him next offseason? And maybe that's the reality too.
Yeah, just all of it hurts. All of it hurts because there is, I don't know, like a 0.1% chance that Kyle Tucker A is on this team next season. And if he is on this team next season, he's gone after that. There's just no way Jim Crane is going to pay him. And it just all hurts. I wish I could transfer this fandom. Don't get me wrong, I love Jose Altuve, but I don't love Jose Altuve like I love Kyle Tucker. And I wish I could transfer my fandom. Be like, nope, gotta love Jose Altuve like this now.
I feel
Because
that.
watching Kyle Tucker rake in Wrigley is going to hurt my heart so much. However, it hurts less, not gonna lie, it hurts way less than because apparently the Yankees are also in on
Mm,
Kyle Tucker.
yeah.
If I had to watch Kyle Tucker on the fucking Yankees, I don't know if I could watch baseball anymore.
But
I just
here
don't.
again, we have this guy that we both want to root for. You obviously more than me, but he's gonna go to one of our least favorite teams. This is most likely.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I can't. It hurts so badly. It hurts so badly. And I try to broach the subject with my 9-year-old and it's her favorite player,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
that almost broke my heart more.
Mhm.
And she's
Oh,
"What do you
no.
mean Kyle Tucker's not gonna be on the team next year? You told me AlexBregman wasn't gonna be on the team next year."
Yeah.
And so you could, like, see the dots connecting in her head that she's gotta watch this team next year without an AlexBregman and without a KyleTucker, and she just looked at me and I was like, if you're watching me on YouTube right now, like, you can see my eyes welling up because essentially that's what happened, and I'm all, "Okay, now we have to stop talking about it because I'm gonna cry." And crying over baseball players that I've never no, I take that back, I have met KyleTucker in person, but it's not like these are close personal friends of mine, it's not like I
Yeah.
have any control over the situation, so the fact that I'm this emotional over fucking athletes, over a non-essential situation in my life just feels so dumb. The rational part of me
Yeah.
knows how dumb it is, but
No,
the
we all
baseball
can
part
relate.
of me says, "Absolutely not, we're gonna cry."
Mhm.
So,
Ugh,
it just all sucks. It just all sucks.
it's rough out there. Well, I wanna talk about something that might make you feel a little bit better. 8 years, $218 million like the Yankees did.
I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have. Not for 8 years.
It
No,
does
no
yeah,
kidding.
it gives off a little desperation was my initial thought, and obviously, MaxFried, one of the top starting pitchers along with Corbin Burns, and on our last episode, you said, and I totally agreed, the Yankees have to go out and get one of these 2 guys. That's, like, the clap back here,
Right.
but man, 8 years for a 31-year-old pitcher. This is the largest free agent contract for a left-handed pitcher, and a guy who I hate to say that he gets hurt a lot, but he's been hurt
He's
a fair amount,
yeah.
and he's on the wrong side of 30. So, here we go again, Yankees. I just thought it was very much a reactionary move to losing out on JuanSoto instead of especially with how quickly it was, like, less than 48 hours later or whatever. Then taking the time, taking a step back, take a deep breath, count to 10 before you offer any more millions, something like that. But I don't know. What do you think the next few years looks like for Max Fried?
I don't know, and I honestly really like Max Fried, and
Mhm.
so I want Max Fried to do well. I want him to succeed, but also not have the Yankees succeed. So I think maybe what I want is for Max Fried to go 7 innings, 1 hit, not give up any runs, but then
But then,
Jonathan
like, sell you a
Widen and gets the L. So basically that's what I want. I want Max Fried to get, like, all of the no decisions, but him personally to get all of the good stats.
Yeah.
Get
Well,
that ground ball up, totally love that, and then just have the Yankees lose all the games. I have a question for you though. I saw graphics saying GerritCole, Max Fried, best 1-2 punch, and I'm all, did y'all just forget about CarlosRodón? Like, do we just bumped CarlosRodón to the
well,
back? What are we doing here? Now, granted, I understand CarlosRodón is hit or miss, but so it's GerritCole 1, Max Fried 2, CarlosRodón 3, 4? Where's CarlosRodón in the
mm,
Yankees rotation now? Where
oh,
do you
yeah.
think
No,
he's
I
at?
think he is. I think he's 3,
3?
especially if he can do what he did. I don't know. It's hard, right? Because the first year of a free agency contract, like, defines a lot of how at least the fans feel about you, which I think is
Right.
why there's, like, that uneasy feeling with Carlos Rodon. But what him and Max Fried pitched about the same amount of innings last season, 3.96 ERA. I believe Max Fried's was just over 3. But yeah, not terribly different when you're looking at surface level here. Yeah, Max Fried has definitely just thrown a lot more innings, and even there, Rodon has had those handful of years of kind of blow up ERAs or just
Yeah.
stretches of inconsistency that Max Fried has 1 or 2 starts like that a season, and Rodon has just done it enough to make it a little bit a part of his reputation. Also a massive overpay by the Yankees, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I would slot him in at 3. I think that's fair
At
to
3?
say.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, I was just confused by that, and I wanted some clarity on that. Do you remember that MarcusStroman is in this rotation?
He is on the team. Yeah, he's on the
He's on
team.
the team.
He's gonna be around. Maybe, I suppose they could try to do
Trade
something with him. I don't remember what his
I wanna say it was a 2-year contract, wasn't it? Or
wait,
3-year maybe?
what is the I just Googled Marcus Stroman, and an article pops up, and the headline is "Marcus Stroman stuffs grumpy Yankees fan in a locker for Juan Soto diss." Marcus Stroman is just out here, like, assaulting people?
I wonder if it's one of those, like, AI deepfake videos.
I think it's yeah, I'm not sure there was any actual physical interaction here, but I'll let you know if I find out. I think this is all just what happened on Twitter.
Is it like fan fiction?
Maybe. Yeah, no, I think this is just all on Twitter, which we know MarcusStroman likes to get worked up on Twitter, which I like half love, half hate about him, or just in general. But yeah, apparently MarcusStroman is happy for JuanSoto, so just standing up for him, saying congrats, good for him. What is in store for MarcusStroman? I really don't know. This is actually my least favorite time of year to try to put teams together because it feels like everything is in disarray. It just feels like all the pieces of the puzzle are everywhere and there's four different puzzles mixed together, so you can't really decide which one to start putting together yet.
Yeah. Yep. He is on the Yankees for one more season at least. And then in 2026, he has a vesting option, and his player option kicks in with 140 innings pitched in 2025.
Mm.
So if he pitches 140 innings next season, then his player option will kick in.
All right, so he would, yeah, need to start to do that at least some of the time.
Yeah, so he originally signed a 2-year, $37 million contract. That's a
Yeah.
lot of money to not even be on a playoff roster.
I don't know. He threw 154 and 2/3 innings last season, and it wasn't like it was a total wash. It was just towards the back half of the season there, he seemed to have lost something. So I would assume that he will be in their starting rotation, barring them making any completely magical moves. I think him and Clark Schmidt, and then you got Nestor Cortez. I
You
don't
got
know.
Nestor Cortez, you got Luis Gil.
Oh, Luis Heel.
Yep.
Hmm.
Rookie of the year, Luis Gil.
Yeah, yeah, Luis Heel. Luis Heel might be that number 3 then. Why are we spending so much time talking about the Yankees?
I
They
don't know.
also
We talk about the Yankees a lot for a team that we dislike.
signed you gotta say this guy's name for me because I don't know why I can never remember how to say it.
Jonathan
Jonathan
Loáisiga.
Loáisiga re-signed
Loáisiga.
with the Yankees, 1 year with the team option. I don't believe we have numbers on that, but bringing him back.
Yep.
And
In the
another guy
bullpen.
who's coming back is Nathan Eovaldi, resigns with the Rangers for 3 years, $75 million, which is pretty awesome because if you forgot, Nathan Eovaldi is one of the few guys who has had 2 Tommy John surgeries and is still out there shoving and gonna make
Yep.
75 more million dollars. So, really awesome for him. Glad to see that he is staying with the Rangers, who are also beefing up their infield and their lineup because they got Jake Burger from the Miami Marlins. I'm so happy that Jake Burger has been freed from the Marlins. I'm so sorry for Marlins fans because did you hear this? That I think it was the new manager for the Marlins was literally met the press at winter meetings hours before Jake Burger was traded and was talking about how excited they were to have him in the lineup. And it was like 2 hours later, they traded Jake Burger. And I'm like, how come on, how is there that
Yikes.
lack of communication? Like, just such a bad look. So, yeah, I do really feel for Marlins fans
Yikes.
because he was such an awesome piece. I feel Kim Ng won the freaking trade deadline in 2023 with him, acquiring him
For
from the
sure.
White Sox, and, could have been the face of the franchise had they done
Mhm.
anything to set them up for success after that, basically. So,
Yeah.
it's a
That
bummer,
trade
but
begs the question for them because their rotation's supposed to be very solid next season. Like, all of their hurt arms from last season are supposed to
mhm.
be coming back. So, that begs the question, are you gonna start trading away the starting pitching too if you're tearing it down? How many home runs did Jake Burger hit last year? 33? 35?
Yeah, I wanna say at least in the 30s, let's see.
And that is some big time production, and I don't think you're replacing that with I don't think that trade came with any MLB ready bats.
No, definitely not. 29 home runs last season, 34
29,
is
okay.
his, career season high in 2023, just the season before, and yeah, he is a home run hitting guy, like, he's not gonna hit for average, he's not the best defender, but he's an average hitter, and I would assume that OBP is probably a little less than average. But anyway, he is a guy that they in a lineup like the Rangers,
Mhm.
he is of great value, and it just says to Marlins fans that yeah, we weren't going to put the pieces around him, and he has I think he's 4 years of control left. Like he's not close to free agency. Yeah, an amazing acquisition for the Rangers, and really just happy for him because I think we'll see those stats like his OBP and his average will be maximized being in the middle of a lineup or even towards the bottom of the lineup like the Rangers. So very happy for you, Jake Berger.
I'm not
Great.
happy for you, Jake Berger, but I can
A little
speak
harder for
that's
you to
just
leave.
because of the team. That's just
Mhm.
because of the team you went on. I personally like you, though. Like, I really like you, and his wife is adorable.
Yes, him and his family is just so sweet, and they do such amazing charitable things, even for the fact that he has not gotten his bag yet. He is not hit free agency, and he's not going to for some time, and he's not young. His career was I shouldn't say he's not young, he's 28, but he's gonna be 32 or 33 when he hits free agency because he had a really rough go at it with injuries coming up through the minor league system, but yeah, just an all
Didn't he
around
blow both Achilles?
I believe so, or maybe it was the same one twice, but yeah, there was some really
That's
shitty Achilles stuff
wow.
that set him back quite a bit,
Yikes.
and
Yikes.
then got caught up in the middle of all the pandemic bullshit and stuff too. Yeah, he's just really made the most of it, and we love to see a player like that get a chance to just maximize their results on a better team. Because man, I don't know what the Marlins are doing. It bums me out so much, but yeah. Oh, and Skip Schumacher is with the Rangers now too. Oh, Burger and Skip reunited. Look at that. I
Do you think Skip Schumacher put a little bug
mm.
in the Rangers' ear and was like, "Chris Young, I'm gonna need you to go get my guy. I'm gonna need you to go get him."
Oh, I definitely think it helped facilitate that, and obviously he's lived with the player, so he can vouch for the value that he brings even more than what you can see on paper, and I do think that's a big part of Jake Burger's game, so good point.
Congrats, Jake Berger. I hope that you do well and that your team loses. There's a lot of those on this episode tonight, apparently. I'm so sorry, Jake Berger. I really actually do like you as a person. I just hate your team. For another team, I should say, that I don't know what they're doing. They're making moves. They're making some moves. I just don't understand why. The Toronto Blue Jays traded for Andrés Giménez. Why? The problem with Toronto last season was you couldn't score runs. It wasn't really the defense because let's just be really honest. That's what Andrés Giménez is known for, is the defense and not so much the bat. Toronto says, "You know what? Ain't a ball gonna get by us," which we may not be able to score runs, but
Run prevention, baby. It
we're
is
not.
a tactic.
That's yay for you. I really honestly don't know what's happening over there, but Andrés Giménez moves from the Guardians, who apparently signed him to an extension and then said, "JK, Blue Jays, here you go."
Yeah, a little three-way trade action going on here. So the Guardians are going to get first baseman Spencer Horwitz and minor league outfielder Nick Mitchell. And they're trading Horwitz to the Pirates. The Pirates are going to send right-handed pitcher Luis Ortiz, left-handed pitcher Michael Kennedy, and left-handed pitcher Josh Hartle to the Guardians. Those three-way trades, man, they always
I
give
I'm
me a little
I never yeah, they always throw me off, and I'm always a little confused on how people figure out the three-way trades. And I
yeah.
always have to go back to that scene in Moneyball where Brad Pitt's on the phone, and then he's on
Yes.
the other phone, and then that's what I have to go back to. Because I guess now, though, it's just all text messaging. Be like, "Okay,
Yeah. So if
so,
anybody has
uh,
an article for us to read on three ways for dummies, apparently that's what we need over here.
I'm gonna clip that, Kels. I'm gonna clip that,
Oh,
just
man.
that part
We don't.
without any context, and we're gonna go viral. That's what's gonna happen."
That it would probably help, but yeah, I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice my social media presence for that. Anyway, if they have found their way over to the rest of this episode, they will understand what we were talking about. But this is one of those things, maybe like the Cardinals signing Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, that later on in context, maybe there's some other things up the Blue Jays sleeves that would make more sense. But like when it happens at this point, with what they've missed out on and with what they haven't done, and with the lack of any kind of conversation surrounding them in on anything else, it's okay, but I don't know. It might just be like they put a smaller puzzle piece in too soon, so we can't see the whole picture. I'm probably giving them too much credit, but
I think you're giving them too much credit is what you're doing. I do have a question, though, since the Guardians traded a first baseman or wait, no. They got Spencer Horwitz, right? And then they traded Spencer Horwitz,
to the
correct?
Pirates, yeah. So
Okay.
they got all pitchers.
Pitchers. Okay. Because
Yeah,
I was like, wait a minute. If you got Spencer Horwitz, does that definitely signal Josh Naylor going? But nope.
right.
You sent Spencer to the Pirates. I got it now. I'm always confused by those three-way trades. They handed Giménez, and I called it an extension, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't have called it an extension. They bought out his RBers and gave him a 7-year, $106.5 million contract.
Okay.
And this next season, he was slated to make 10.5 essentially. In 2026, he's supposed to make 15.5, and then 27, 28, and 29, he's supposed to make 23.5. The Guardians ain't gonna give him that for a
No.
declining bat. I wanna say his OPS last season was like a 632, and it's been declining every single year.
Yeah. Maybe
So,
it'll do better in Canada.
oh, Canada, maybe. I don't know. Okay.
I don't know. He still had a 4 WAR last season, which is better than I would have
That's just
thought.
yeah, that's all defense, so that's all
Yeah.
glove.
Yeah, you're right.
That
His
is
OPS
all
is 6.
but he plays second base. I'm trying to think of who the Blue Jays second baseman was. Was that Will Wagner last season?
Did Will Wagner finish playing second base for them? I have no idea.
I have no idea. Because by
No,
season's end, wasn't Vladdy playing third?
he was, yes. I don't know who's gonna play second base for the Guardians either, to be honest. Yeah, I do think Will Wagner was playing second most of the time. I don't know. Clearly, we were not paying a lot of attention to the Blue Jays at this
I
point
was
last.
not, unfortunately. I was only paying attention to their outfield when Kevin Kiermaier was there. All right,
Yeah,
let's see.
they moved through a handful of my guys, but I was watching Vladdy G at third. That was the biggest thing that caught my attention from the Blue Jays at the end of last season. So they need to do something else to get our attention, is the point we've really come around to here.
Yeah, so Ernie Clement, that's who also was playing some third.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they got Vlad back at first, Andrés Giménez at second, Bo Bichette at short, Ernie Clement at third, Joey Loperfido in left, Dalton Varsho in center, and George Springer in right.
Yeah. That outfield is
So
starting to smell like Ben Gay to me.
Joey Loperfido is young-ish.
Oh, it's true.
George Springer, I think you're getting a big ol' whiff of George Springer is what you're getting a whiff
Yeah.
of. Also, maybe that's starting rotation. Who knows about that? But there was something else I was going to tell you that wasn't on these notes, and I just had it in my brain, and it's gone.
It'll come back to you. Let's talk about the golden bat rule because we were going to talk about that last time and we didn't get to it. So the golden bat rule is actually something that is in play for the Savannah Bananas, which is an exhibition baseball team. Super fun, absolute blast, smash hit. Can't wait to see them. That's one of the things I've got on my New Year's resolution is I got to see the Savannah Bananas in 2025. But I guess there's talk of, I haven't caught up. I know the commissioner spoke on it recently, so I'm not really sure how realistic at all this is of this coming to Major League Baseball. But there is talk of it being implemented in Major League Baseball. And the rule essentially says, correct me if I'm missing anything here, but that every team in every game would get one chance to put whoever they wanted at bat in any given situation. So just ripping away any of the rules of this guy is already in the lineup somewhere else, or this guy has already come out of the game potentially, and just letting whoever hit at whatever opportune moment with the golden ticket, golden bat rule. Is that essentially what it is?
Yeah, and it was an off the cuff thing that was said on a podcast, and I don't remember what podcast it was, but and then it matriculated through all of the social medias and all of that stuff, and he came on again and basically refuted it and said it was an idea that we were floating. Obviously, it needs to be fleshed out a lot more because all of the consequences, the ripple effect essentially of, okay, so if it's, say, Shohei Ohtani and the pitcher was able to strike Shohei Ohtani out, can Shohei just come on back for a whole other at bat? So now he's seen my entire arsenal
Yeah.
and now he gets to go again. Or if Shohei hits a double down the line, now does a pinch runner come in if they want to send him back to bat?
Yeah, there's so many. Oh
There's
gosh.
there's too many ripple effects, essentially, if
Mhm.
they were just to put it in. Honestly, a part of me kind of is entertaining the idea, but there's gotta be a lot of caveats to it, and there's gotta be a lot of stipulations put on it in
Yeah.
order for it to, 1, work, and then 2, you're gonna get pushback on any change, right? Everybody grumbled about the pitch clock, and now really no one talks about the pitch clock ever. When the mound was moved back, like, everyone talked about the mound. Bigger bases, everyone. And while I think, like, a rule like this is not plausible, I want you to keep thinking about things that could possibly grow the game. Because in football, in basketball, when the game is on the line, you're gonna try and get your star player the ball, the puck, whatever, right? That's what the whole goal is.
Mhm.
And that's not the thing in baseball,
Right.
right? Because if that was, can you imagine how many history shattering things that would not have happened? Like David Freese in the 2011 Cardinals? Like
Right. Or even Tommy Edman being the NLCS MVP this past season.
the ripple effect for this would be just too much. Just
Yeah,
too much.
I agree, and I
And
think it takes away a little of that the magic of the unsung hero or the
yeah,
underdog coming through. That is one of my favorite things about baseball.
yeah. And that's and baseball in and of itself is a team sport, right? It's that pitcher versus the batter. And that's why you try and build a lineup 1 through 9 so that you have the best
Absolutely.
chance, right? So, a part of me a big part of me hates the rule, but another part of me is applauding MLB for trying to grow the game and trying to get people talking about the game, and but it's things like that that I'm all, "Okay, that's great," but you literally had the draft lottery that no one knew was happening. And we saw that it was Colton Cowser was drawing the numbers. 1, why is it Colton Cowser? How did Colton Cowser get picked? Because apparently
Right.
the year before it was Brad Paisley. How are you gonna go from Brad Paisley to Colton Cowser? What's happening here? And the fact that I think if you weren't watching MLB Network, I don't think you would have known that it was happening because I definitely did not know that it was happening, and I pretty much live on Twitter. And as it was happening, then I was like, "Wait, the draft lottery is happening right now?" And things like that need to be advertised a little bit more and
Absolutely.
shown
Yeah.
off a little bit more because the fact that the White Sox, obviously the worst team last year, was literally not allowed to get the first draft pick, and they can't have the first 10 or first 9. They got the 10th draft pick. Everybody else put in to the essentially bingo balls. I think it was the Rockies and the Marlins had the highest chance of getting the first draft pick. I think they had like a 22% chance or something like that. The Marlins get to pick 7th, and the Rockies get to pick 4th. And the Seattle Mariners, that had a 0.2% chance of getting a high draft pick, gets to pick 3rd. That is cinema right there. The fact that
Oh, yeah.
the Seattle Mariners, that was a decent team last season, 3rd, 3rd overall pick.
And to your point, just, like, education on the way it all works, there could be so much more exposure and excitement around it, and this is just one example of there are so many things that happen throughout the season and the way that the game is. I can't even ever find any. I don't even know if I get MLB Network. I'm sure I do. I pay for, like, everything under the sun, but it's just, like, none of it is easily accessible, and
Exactly.
yeah, I don't know. It's very mismanaged in something that seems like, yeah, let's make that the primary focus instead of seeing Shohei Ohtani bat one more time because we get it, but like the juice is being squeezed out of that lemon
Yeah.
very hard. There's other low-hanging fruit than just Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge and these guys that they're just like leaning on and not putting any other form of creativity. If you need people in your creative department to help with these things, we are right here for the right price. Rob, give us a call. Shoot us a tweet.
I'm I'm just saying, home run
Susie, one
derby
thing
after 13 innings. After
I
13
would
innings,
love I would
home
love
run
to
derby
see you at
style.
home run derby.
That's what
And
that's what needs to
that.
happen.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I think you wanna talk about logistics around that. That might be a little rough too. But okay, here's something I want to ask you. I probably should have given you prep for this, and maybe we can do more down the line once we've thought it through. But we're in the thick of the holiday shopping season, and I recently had someone ask me for ideas for baseball fans for the holidays, for Christmas. What is like the best baseball related gift that you've ever received?
I was gonna say I don't think I've ever gotten a baseball related gift, but, I say that while staring at a signed Yainer Diaz jersey in front of me and signed KyleTucker pictures and Yainer Diaz pictures behind me. So I am a big fat filthy liar, and it would probably have to be those. Probably some sort of team related paraphernalia that I can put on my walls and
Yeah,
show off. That's probably it. But I feel like sometimes that can be a little expensive. And
really.
so
Yeah.
if you're thinking of maybe like a more price conscious gift, maybe some sort of, I don't know. Do they do gift cards for concessions? Because that shit is expensive. So
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
may
a
be
really good
a
idea.
that may
Yeah,
be
I would
a
assume
useful type present.
yeah, or yeah, if you wanted to just spice up a ticket purchase to also, like, include concessions as part of that, I'm sure
Mhm.
there's gotta be some way that you could do that. I have gotten a variety of things, and not most of them are not huge. I am sitting in my Busch Stadium 2 seats, which is probably the coolest thing, but,
I think
that wasn't
that's
really a
awesome.
gift. That was something that my dad just bought, and fortunately, I acquired over time. But a couple years ago, I wanna say my husband got me this book. I think there's so many good baseball books, and a lot of them are
Ooh.
like you don't have to sit down and read. You could literally open this up and read just a few pages of it, and, it'll take you back, and,
For our
uh
podcast, listening audience, what book are you holding,
oh,
Kels?
yes. I'm holding If These Walls Could Talk. It is, by Stan McNeil. It is stories from the St. Louis Cardinals dugout, locker room, and press box from that, 2000 I believe this is the 2006 or no, 2011 World Series, duh. Yeah, there's all kinds or actually it covers I've read the one about the two read the part about the 2011 World Series, but it covers a bunch of big moments from the 2000s for the Cardinals, and every team has books like this. There's also a bunch of, like, general baseball books that are really great. So
Mhm.
books I think are, like, a good affordable option, or I got a really cool picture frame from my friend Wes because we
Oh,
go to opening day together every year, and he got me a picture frame with a picture of us in opening day, so it's like a St. Louis Cardinals picture frame. It's in my living room, and that's something like that's a great gift because I would have never bought that for myself, but it's
right.
literally sitting in my living room. It's like one of the first things that you see when you come to my house. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of little things that you can get that people don't buy for themselves, and decor, things that you can just have around your home, I think is a good general one.
Yeah, I've also received bobbleheads.
Bobbleheads
So,
are so fun.
I'm a
And they're
big
like a
fat
collectible thing, so
filthy
you can't
liar.
like, have too
Yeah.
many.
Yeah, I actually saw Funko Pop bobbleheads that I
Oh,
think are the
I
coolest
love
fucking
Funko
things in the
Pop.
world. Yeah. And if you are at a hobby shop or just Walmart, Target, get you a pack of baseball cards, like baseball trading cards. You never know, you're gonna hit on
Classic.
that one of one Paul Skeens autographed rookie card. You can
Yeah, that's like the
get in on
baseball
those.
fan equivalent of buying a lottery ticket. That's
Essentially,
cool.
yeah. So, I think any of those you can't miss. Basically, anything baseball related, I'm gonna like, unless it's, like, Yankees stuff.
Yeah, I think it's hard to think of things that, like, people don't already have, but books, decor, the other best baseball gift I think or I shouldn't say best, but, like, thing I never would have thought of is and maybe I told you about this when I got it, but as a going away gift, I guess, when we moved here to New Jersey, my brother got us a bottle of whiskey from the Field of Dreams, whiskey
Oh.
that is made from the corn from the original Field of Dreams,
Uh-huh.
and they only made like 20,000 some bottles because they made a bottle for every player that's ever played in the major leagues, which is just love.
Wow.
Yeah, and they all have each bottle has a special number on it, and you can look it up for which player it's
That's
for.
awesome.
And yeah, it's really cool. I'm like never gonna open it because it's just so
Right.
cool. But and also like corn whiskey sounds weird, but it's very cool to have. And I'm sure it's delicious if corn whiskey
Yeah,
is your thing. But yeah, and I think I looked it up online. It's like $80. So it is a little bit higher price point. Maybe don't get it for like your work gift exchange or something. But for somebody in your
right.
family or somebody that you want to get something nice for, it's not totally out of the realm of possibility. And even if they're not a whiskey drinker, it's like a cool collector's thing to have.
For sure. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't drink corn whiskey, but that seems like a really cool gift idea. I like that a lot.
And all these there are a number of baseball players that have now that we're talking about liquor, I'm like, oh, Nolan Arenado makes wine. And there's getting something that like one of your favorite players makes, or at least is co-owner of a brand or something, that would be cool too. Because if somebody wants to buy me a bottle of Nolan Arenado's wine, it's not cheap. So I would take that. But a lot of times
That
we like don't even know about those things. So do a little digging. That's something that's very creative and fun.
you just reminded me of something because you said Nolan Arenado, Kels, and I remembered that this is one of the things that I wanted to ask you about,
Mm-hmm.
because I was so confused about it. We talked on our last episode about how Nolan Arenado was most likely going to be traded, but he has a full no trade clause, so he would have to approve it. And the list came out of the 6 teams that he would approve trades to. One of these things is not like the other, Kels. I'm gonna read you the list, and you
Yeah,
tell
no, I know
me
where you're going with this.
which one doesn't belong. Dodgers, Padres, Phillies, Mets, Red Sox, Angels. I'm sorry, what?
He's from LA, so I think the appeal of being close to his family and also, like, being a teammate with Mike Trout, come on. Maybe he thinks with him and Mike Trout would have a chance. I also don't know how legit that list is because the person who initially reported it is not super popular, not super trusted in the Cardinals circle of things.
Okay,
I don't know
okay.
how accurate that is because, yeah, I'm sorry, if you're willing to play on either side of the country, I can't imagine he would just be like, throw the Angels in there because at least I'll be close to home."
Yeah,
Maybe he's
I
a
saw
big
that
Ron
list.
Washington fan.
I saw this list and immediately saying, "One of these things is not like the other." I was all,
Hey, the
"You
Yankees aren't on there.
okay?" That's yeah, yeah. And I took it as a personal affront that the Astros weren't on there. I was all, "The fuck, man?"
Isn't
But the
it
Angels?
hard when
Yeah,
you hear that,
Angels?
like, a player has blocked a trade to your team and I still think about that with John Carlos Stanton. He blocked a trade to the Cardinals from the Marlins years ago, and I still take it personally. But yeah, I don't know. I want him to be traded to the Phillies because I wanna see him play here. It would be
Right.
probably the hardest for me. I don't know. I just don't want him to go to the Mets or the Dodgers because come on. You have everyone and everything that you want. Just leave Nolan alone. I don't know. It just seems unfair. Cardinals fans have taken so much pride in him being a Cardinal. Obviously, the trade that got him was really amazing and timely. So it seemed. And our whole kind of slogan has just been like Nolan Arenado is a St. Louis Cardinal. Like it's so exciting and iconic. And it's going to be really sad to see him go just because of the circumstances that have played out to really allow this to even be an option. But yeah, I think it seems like he would be down for whatever works out best because I don't think he thinks the Cardinals are like completely out of contention. There's obviously just like a number of teams that have a way better chance than them in the next. And I also think he really likes it seems like his family likes it. He likes the vibe of St. Louis. So I don't think he necessarily, again, like wants to leave. He's comfortable there for a number of reasons, but
Right.
let the man play for a World Series ring. And I cannot.
Definitely gonna play for one in with the Angels.
Yeah.
Most definitely. For
I'll
sure.
tell you what, Cardinals fans would be the most upset with that one because of the fact that it's like, really, then just stay here because yeah,
Right.
chances are as good as any. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope that they get something lucrative in return. That one's gonna hurt, but
Um,
I understand it a lot more than the KyleTucker thing, so I'm not able to
yeah.
like let it get me quite the same.
Yeah, I'm still very distraught over KyleTucker. Still very distraught. Another thing that I'm very distraught over, Kelsey, and I read this story and thought, surely not. Surely not. For years and years and years and years, the Orioles were not gonna spend money. And then finally a new owner comes in and it looked like was gonna be okay spending some money. And last season, they didn't really spend any money. And this season, they signed Tyler O'Neill. And they don't look like they're going to re-sign Corbin Burns. And
Right.
an article came out today saying that despite the green light to spend money, Mike Elias is not willing to spend money. And I
Hmm.
need to know why. Have you
Hmm.
seen that? Did you see that
No,
article?
the only thing that I saw was Scott Boras doing his song and dance. The man wants to be on stage so badly. Oh man, if only I could be like conniving and snake-like enough to take my theatrical skills and put them into being an agent that gets people absurd amounts of money, like Scott Boras has done apparently. But no, I heard he said that he has had more, like, engaging discussions with the Orioles about signing his clients who are obviously gonna get the buco bucks, the majority of them. So, he seemed to allude that the Orioles were more inclined to spend money and to have those conversations for the big free agents than they had been in the past. So, that was the last that I had heard about it. But I don't know, it doesn't surprise me a ton only because I would hate to see the Orioles do what Steve Cohen did with the Mets and just go out and throw all caution to the wind and be like, all we need to do is spend a shitload of money now, especially because they have a number of guys that they really should extend and build a core around, but they've got to decide which ones. They probably can't do it with all of them necessarily. So I think they have a lot of different angles to look at it from, and maybe they're just not trying to rush into anything. That's my in defense of the Orioles.
Okay.
So
So this article was written by Ben Palmer for Pitcher List. I'm going
okay.
to read a couple of various excerpts and you tell me what you think. Okay.
Okay.
That vision for the Orioles, which the source described as a quote unquote vanity project for Elias, Mike Elias is the GM, is to build a team that serves as the antithesis to teams like the New York Yankees and Los Angeles Dodgers, which, okay, that's fine. You can do that. And prove that an organization can be built from the ground up rather than purchased through free agency. However, Elias is over his head in building a major league roster. And there's currently no one within the Orioles office on as close to equal footing as Elias that could serve as a check on his decisions.
Mhm.
Instead, Elias is elevating people within the organization who will allow him to maintain his personal vision for the team rather than shaking things up. It goes on to say that, in addition, Elias doesn't want ownership to spend large amounts of money on free agents because it would make Elias more accountable and place higher expectations on him,
Mm.
according to the source. And apparently, this isn't the first time ownership has given Elias the green light to make a big splash, and Elias has declined to do so. The source noted that former Orioles chair and CEO John Angelos gave Elias permission last year to seek out a deal to acquire San Diego Padres outfielder Juan Soto. But Elias was uninterested in the proposition.
Then why does he still have his job? What?
The source also spoke to manager Brandon Hyde's role in the organization, describing Hyde as a puppet and a pushover for Elias. According to the source, Hyde attempted to push back regarding the Orioles' shaky bullpen last year, arguing the team needed to get better and not necessarily younger. And as a result, the team fired bench coach Freddie Gonzalez and co-hitting coaches Ryan Fuller, two of Hyde's confidants. So I don't know if that means the reason they didn't seek out JuanSoto was because they knew that they could not extend JuanSoto and they weren't going to pay JuanSoto money. And
Mhm.
maybe Mike Elias was thinking that. But even so, you have the trade capital. And I feel like maybe that is possibly the bigger culprit is
Mhm.
Mike Elias has been known that he does not want to trade his prospects. But now that you don't even have to give up prospects, now you are given the green light to spend some money. So I'm not telling you, Michael Elias, to go spend $765 million on a Juan Soto, but you can spend some money on some pitching.
Yeah, this sounds a lot like another bird team that I am particularly fond of for whatever reason. And yeah, it's very confusing because I'm reading the other article here that I was telling you about where Scott Boras is quoted saying, "We've been in very close contact with Mike Elias, talking to him regularly. He's made it very clear that under this ownership, they're going to take steps forward that they haven't taken in the past." And that was just a few days ago during the winter meetings, people getting all excited. that the Orioles were having these conversations that they just straight up were not even remotely touching with a 10-foot pole up until now. I don't know. I hope this is a little like paralysis by analysis and Mike Elias can get over it sooner rather than later because they can't just not do anything, right?
Correct. They signed Tyler O'Neill, they got Gary Sanchez, but you lost Anthony Santander. Again, that's 40 homers that you got to replace somehow. I don't know who is anchoring your rotation next season. John Means? Grayson Rodriguez?
When is Kyle Bradish back?
Don't get me wrong, I really like Grayson Rodriguez, but who's your one in that rotation? Are you just expecting all of the...
There are things to be done. I don't want to see by any means the Orioles take, like I said, a New York Mets approach, but they also
you could spend some money.
Yeah. There needs to be a significant increase, and you would think this offseason was when we were going to see it.
Especially since the Royals knocked you out of the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, Royals fans. We love you. We were the biggest proponents of y'all last season. Come on, Orioles. Do something. It's like that meme of the character poking with a stick.
Yeah, no, the Orioles window is wide open now. In 2023, it was like, oh man, it's a little more open than we thought it was. In 2024, it was like, okay, yeah, no, it's open, let's go. But we're still in this transitional period, so maybe it'll take a little bit more of somebody shoving it open, but we thought like now is the time to just push everybody through the window. The window is open, let's go.
Yeah. Adley's not getting any younger, so I don't know. And are they going to be able to sign Gunnar?
That's what that's the number, the biggest one I think they should focus on.
If you were an Orioles fan, which one would you rather they sign? Adley or Gunnar?
For me, as someone who is partial to franchise catchers, I would have to go with Adley, but I think as a baseball fan, as most baseball fans would say Gunnar.
Yeah, I don't even know at that point. I don't know.
They should do both.
They should do both. They should lock them up now, buy out their RBers, be done with it. But
should we start our 40-man fine next week? Should we put that out there as a teaser, if you will?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So I know we've talked we did cover a lot of teams today. Red Sox, White Sox, Blue Jays, even a little Pirates in there, Rangers, talk some
Guardians.
We love to do Guardians. Yeah. Alex Cobb signed with Detroit for a year, $15 million. Excited to see what he does in that rotation. But yeah, we'll get to all 30 teams and so much more with the 40-man find.
Starting next week. So are we going to keep it like we did last season? You cover the AL and I cover the NL, or do you want to flip-flop and you cover the NL and I cover the AL?
Or we could do half and half. I don't know. Maybe we should pick names out of a hat. Pick team names out of a hat.
Let's do that.
Okay, we'll do
let's
that.
Do that. Or let's do you know what? Let's do a wheel of choices.
Oh yeah, let's do a wheel.
Yeah. Let's do that. Wheel of choices.
Yep, we can spin a wheel. And then, the only rule is that I'll do the Astros and you'll do the Cardinals. So maybe we start with that next week.
Okay.
And then we'll spin the wheel live as we record. And then we'll tell you who we're going to talk about the following week. I love it. This is so interactive.
Perfect. I love that. Okay. So last season, we did start with worst record to best record in the leagues. We're not going to do that, though. This season, we're going to do the wheel of interactiveness. And let's start. I'll start with the Cardinals. You start with the Astros for next week. And then I'll put in all of the 28 then? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The rest of the 28 teams. And we will pick. And we will see who we get.
Yeah, love that. And it's always fun because I think last year we had 2 or 3 of them that ended up getting traded to other teams after we covered them. Sometimes you've got somebody on your radar that's going to be part of a blockbuster trade before it even happens. It's all good things. Only fun knowledge.
Ken Rosenthal, I need you to stop writing about the Yankees trading for KyleTucker, okay? Please and thank you.
Ken, if you could, do us a favor.
I don't want to. Oh, did you see in JuanSoto's press conference that he said that he chose the Mets because they had the best chance to win?
I didn't see that, but I saw another clip of it where, I don't know, I just think it's so funny. Obviously, they're going to ask all these questions and have his talking points, but I just thought it was so funny that he was like, I liked what I saw from the organization. Like, these guys, they have the fight in them, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you liked what you saw in $765 million, JuanSoto. Come on.
That's true. It's true. But there's $5 million is negligible when you're talking about fucking $760 million.
Yeah, I honestly
$5 million.
and maybe I already said this, but I think JuanSoto has the chance to make a bigger name for himself and like his legacy with a team like the Mets. The Yankees are made of legends. There are so many people you think of when you think of the Yankees. There's not a lot of even Hall of Famers from the Mets. Obviously, the franchise is not nearly as old, and there's not nearly the amount of players that you think of when you think of the Mets. Like JuanSoto could be the player that you think of forever, and one of the only ones. Definitely the first one when you say New York Mets. And I think if anything, that was the other biggest draw to him.
Did you also see Scott Boris's comment when the reporters asked him about the Yankees? And he turned around and he said, "You never talked about the bridesmaids at the wedding."
No, I did not, but good one.
I was like, oh, wow, Scott Boris. Okay. Yeah. So there were some of those comments, and then there was some comments about how apparently JuanSoto didn't want to pay for a suite
Yes.
in Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees were not willing to give him a suite for free because Aaron Judge and Derek Jeter have to pay for their suites. The Mets were like, "You want a suite? Done. Do it."
Yeah. We got plenty of suites available in Queens. Yeah, I think that's totally a valid thing. Do I think it's, again, the thing that makes or breaks the deal? Absolutely not. But it's a thing.
It is a thing. But Yankees, really? You put a C on Aaron Judge's chest? You
And
put a
you make
C
him
on
pay for
Derek
a
Jeter's
suite?
chest? And you make him
Come
pay for a
on.
suite? What are we doing? You can't tell me that they use that suite so often. You can't just give them a suite. Come on. That's Yankees. What are you doing here? I understand if Gleyber Torres wants a suite and you make him pay for a suite. Yes, I understand that. Derek Jeter, Aaron Judge, you can't do that for those guys. What are we doing? Yeah. So, anyways, with that, we are going to wrap. Kelsey, tell the people where they can find you on the interwebs if they want to tell you any more tasty nuggets about free agency, or where they will and won't play, or what neighborhood bar they want to hang out at.
All the latest trade rumors and more at KBird Tweets. That is KBURD Tweets. I also have a YouTube channel at KBird Tweets. So Peace, Love, and Baseball is on the KBird Tweets YouTube channel, which is also where you can find me with Suzy on the Bourbon and Baseball YouTube channel.
If you lovely people have not already hit like on this episode, please do so right now. If you've not yet subscribed, I don't know what the fuck you're waiting for. Do that. It's free. It literally costs nothing. Okay? Hit the big red button, subscribe. It would make my tiny black cold dead heart feel maybe something. Who knows?
All we want for
and
Christmas.
if that is all we want for Christmas. And if you are listening to this via podcast, via Apple or Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating and write us a nice review. I also would love that. I would love nothing more than to do that. So if you already haven't, please go do that now. And with that, we are going to wrap and say, yay, baseball!